Get ready to dream. Close your eyes, the story is about to begin. The art gallery in New York buzzed with vibrant energy, filled with whispers and laughter as visitors admired the displayed works. Aisling, a young artist with wavy hair and eyes that sparkled like stars, stood mesmerized in front of a painting depicting an ancient Celtic castle. The details seemed to leap off the canvas, as if the castle was calling out to her. Around her, the white walls contrasted with the vivid colors of the painting, but nothing else captured her attention quite like it. As Aisling moved closer, something shiny in the corner of the room caught her eye. It was a Celtic amulet, hanging on a delicate chain. Fascinated, she reached out and touched it. As her fingers met the cool metal, a bright light surrounded her, and the world around her began to distort. Aisling closed her eyes, feeling a surge of energy run through her body, and in an instant, the gallery vanished. When she opened her eyes again, Aisling found herself in a magical forest, where the trees were towering, and their leaves shimmered in shades of green and gold under the soft sunlight. Fantastic creatures, like deer with crystal antlers and birds with impossible colors, flew around her. She was completely stunned, but the beauty of the place wrapped around her like a warm embrace. "Where am I?" she murmured, marveling at the landscape. Then, she spotted a figure in the distance. A tall young man with golden hair that shone like the sun and blue eyes as clear as the sky. He stood still, watching her with curiosity. Aisling felt her heart race. "You're human," he said, walking closer. His voice was gentle but had a firmness that intrigued her. "Yes, I am. My name is Aisling. What's happening here?" She was confused, but at the same time, she felt an inexplicable connection to the young man. "I am Angus," he replied, extending his hand. "You've just entered the fairy realm. This place is magical, but also dangerous. You shouldn't be here." Aisling hesitated for a moment, looking at his outstretched hand. But the anxiety quickly faded when she touched Angus' hand. A warmth spread through her, and she felt strangely safe. "I don't know how I got here. I was in an art gallery, and suddenly, everything changed." Angus frowned thoughtfully. "The amulet. It's a key to our world. You must have been chosen for some reason." He smiled, and Aisling felt her heart melt. "Come, I'll show you the kingdom." Together, they began walking through the forest. Aisling couldn't take her eyes off Angus. He spoke about the wonders of the kingdom, the flowers that sang, the streams that danced, and the stars that seemed to shine just for them. As they explored, Aisling felt more alive than ever. "It's all so beautiful," she exclaimed, looking around. "I feel like I belong here." "You can belong, if you want," Angus said, looking deeply into her eyes. "But it may not be that simple. Humans aren't welcome in our realm." "Why not?" Aisling asked, confused. "Because the goddess Meloria, who rules over us, has her rules. She doesn't trust humans," Angus replied, a shadow passing over his face. "But there's something special about you. I can feel it." Aisling's smile widened, and the connection between them grew with every step. They laughed together, shared stories about their lives, and Aisling began to feel at home for the first time. "You're different from anyone I've ever met, Angus." "It's like we've met before," she said, her voice soft and dreamy. "Maybe it's fate," he replied, his eyes shining with an intensity that made Aisling's stomach flutter. "But we must be careful. The fairy realm has its rules, and breaking them can have consequences." As they continued exploring, Aisling knew she was about to embark on a journey that would change her life forever. And in her heart, she already felt that, no matter what happened, the love blossoming between her and Angus was stronger than any rule or curse. The royal banquet was a dazzling display of opulence and power. Aisling watched in fascination as the nobles of the realm moved gracefully around the hall, illuminated by crystal chandeliers. The soft music of harps and flutes floated in the air, but there was a palpable tension hovering over everyone. Dressed in an elegant silk gown that reflected the colors of the surrounding forest, Aisling felt a bit out of place, like a butterfly in a world of spiders. "Are you okay?" Angus asked, leaning closer, his green eyes lit by the soft glow. "It seems like your smile has faded a bit." I'm fine, Aisling replied, forcing a smile. It's just, everything is so different from what I'm used to. I understand. But you don't have to worry. This is my world, and you're welcome in it. Angus held her hand, his touch warm and reassuring, but Aisling couldn't help but notice the dark presence approaching. Then, as if the room had frozen, the goddess Meloria entered the hall. Her appearance was both majestic and terrifying, with hair as long as storm clouds and a gown made of shadows that floated around her. The murmurs of the guests fell silent, and Aisling felt a chill run down her spine. "Ah, Prince Angus," Meloria said, her voice like the crack of thunder. "What do we have here? A human daring to infiltrate our domain?" Aisling felt her stomach twist. The goddess's presence was overwhelming, and she couldn't resist the urge to shrink back. But Angus stood firm by her side, his expression determined. "I won't let you threaten her. Do you dare defy me, Angus?" The goddess cast a piercing gaze, her words as sharp as blades. "You may have your little adventure, but I won't hesitate to use the power I have over you to ensure Aisling suffers the consequences of your reckless choice." Aisling felt a cold shiver run through her body, as if the very essence of the goddess was trying to invade her mind. "What are you going to do?" she asked, her tone caught between determination and fear. Meloria tilted her head, a cruel smile on her lips. "I won't do anything for now, but know that your happiness is an offense to the natural order. Remember, with every step you take away from each other, a part of you, Aisling, will be drained. You don't belong in this world." Aisling looked at Angus, her heart heavy. "What if I can't handle it? What if you can't either?" "Don't worry, Aisling," Angus said, holding her hand firmly. "I won't let anything happen to you. We'll find a way to face Meloria. Together." Meloria watched the scene with a look of disdain. Drawn to each other like moths to a flame. "But remember, children, every flame burns." With that, the goddess turned, disappearing into a swirl of dark mist, leaving Aisling and Angus in a state of unease. The banquet continued, but the atmosphere had shifted. The gazes of the other attendees were filled with concern and curiosity. Aisling felt the weight of the court's eyes on her, as if the very room was witnessing a conflict that could change the fate of all. "We need to find a solution," Aisling said, her voice firm, determined not to be just a pawn in a game she didn't understand. "I can't live with this threat hanging over us." "I won't leave you alone, Aisling," Angus replied, his expression resolute. "We'll figure out how to face this. Together." Aisling looked out at the horizon of the magical forest, a place she now felt was part of her, even though she was far from home. The fresh air carried the sweet scent of glowing flowers growing along the stream's edge. Yet, a shadow of worry lingered in her heart. "Angus, what if this curse really makes me weak? I can't stay away from you." "I'm so scared," she confessed, her eyes shining with vulnerability. Angus, beside her, held her hand tightly. His gaze was intense, full of determination. "We will find the crystal of harmony, Aisling. I promise." "I won't let anything happen to you," he declared, his voice filled with a confidence Aisling wished she could feel. But uncertainty still consumed her. It was as if an invisible chain was pulling her away from him, and it left her anxious. With one last glance at the forest, they began their journey. As they walked, magical creatures watched from afar, some curious, others cautious. Aisling wondered how this place could be so different and yet so welcoming at the same time. "Everything here is so incredible. How can you live in this world and still feel trapped?" Aisling asked, trying to understand more about Angus' life. "Sometimes, responsibility weighs more than any curse. I am a prince, Aisling. I have duties I can't ignore. But with you, I feel like I can be more than just a title," Angus replied, his green eyes glowing with an intensity that made Aisling's heart race. After hours of walking, they came across an imposing cave, its entrance adorned with crystals that glittered like stars. "This must be it. The crystal of harmony should be inside," Angus said, his tone serious and focused. Aisling felt a chill in her stomach as she looked at the darkness awaiting them. "But what if there's something waiting for us in there?" Aisling hesitated, remembering the stories Lyra had told about the challenges faced by those who dared seek the crystal. We have to be brave. What's at stake is bigger than our fear, Angus reassured, pulling her close. Together, we can face any challenge. With a deep breath, Aisling nodded, and they entered the cave. The interior was vast and echoed with mysterious sounds. As they advanced, a shadow moved quickly in the darkness, making Aisling stop abruptly. "Angus, did you see that?" she whispered, her heart racing. "Yes, but we can't let fear stop us." "We need to find the crystal," Angus replied, his voice firm, though Aisling could sense a slight tension. They pressed on, and soon a deafening roar echoed through the cave, shaking the walls. A colossal dragon appeared before them, its scales gleaming like shining jewels. Its eyes, deep and ancient, observed Aisling and Angus with an almost human-like curiosity. "Intruders! What do you seek in this sacred sanctuary?" it growled, its tone rumbling like thunder. Angus stepped forward. "We've come for the Crystal of Harmony. We needed to break a curse and restore balance between our worlds." The dragon tilted its head, considering the prince's words. "Many have come before you, but few have courage in their hearts. Why should I let you pass?" Aisling, feeling adrenaline surge through her veins, had an idea. "What if we prove our courage? If we can get past you, wouldn't that show we are worthy?" She stepped forward, looking directly into the dragon's eyes, trying to convey the sincerity of her heart. The dragon watched her for a moment, then an enigmatic smile crossed its face. "Courage, yes. But courage alone is not enough. You must distract me while you enter. If you fail, the consequences will be severe." "We have a plan," Angus said, glancing at Aisling with a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "We'll use a spell I learned. Together, we can distract him while one of us runs to get the crystal." Aisling nodded, her heart racing. "Let's do this." With a swift movement, Angus began chanting an incantation that echoed through the cave, creating an illusion that danced around the dragon. Meanwhile, Aisling seized the distraction and dashed toward the intense glow coming from the back of the cave. "Now, Aisling!" Angus shouted, and she lunged toward the crystal, feeling the pulsating energy radiating from it. She reached out, and as she touched it, a wave of warmth and light enveloped her body, bringing a sense of hope she had never known before. "We did it!" Aisling exclaimed, holding the crystal, but as she looked back, she saw the dragon breaking free from the illusion, its eyes blazing with fury. Time was running out, and they needed to act fast. With the crystal in hand, Aisling and Angus knew that the real battle was just beginning. Inside the cave, the air was cool and filled with a soft glow radiating from the Crystal of Harmony, lighting up the walls with an ethereal hue. Aisling and Angus were breathless, their hearts racing from the adrenaline of their fight against the dragon. As they approached the crystal, a delicate figure emerged from the shadows, with shimmering wings that seemed to dance in the light. "Who are you?" The fairy's soft, melodic voice sounded like a whisper. Lyra, the rebellious fairy, had silver hair that sparkled like stars and eyes that reflected the wisdom of 1,000 years. She moved gracefully, hovering a few inches above the ground, observing them with curiosity. "I'm Aisling, and this is Angus. We've come seeking the Crystal of Harmony," Aisling answered, admiring the fairy's beauty but also feeling a slight sense of unease. "We need to break a curse." Lyra crossed her arms, shaking her head thoughtfully. "A curse, you say? What has Meloria done now? You're not the first to come here on this mission, but few leave unharmed." The fairy's expression grew serious, and Aisling felt a chill run down her spine. "Meloria, she doesn't accept our love," Angus interjected, his voice filled with determination. "She's trying to separate us at any cost." "I saw what happened at the banquet," Lyra said, looking directly at Angus. "She fears what she can't control. True love is a powerful force, but it can also be a weakness if you don't know how to protect it." The fairy moved closer to the crystal, her delicate fingers almost touching the glowing surface. "Meloria's curse runs deeper than you think. It's not just about the two of you, many in the court live under her fear. How can we break it?" Aisling asked, her voice a whisper of hope. "To do that, You need to understand the traditions of our realm, Lyra replied, her expression softening. And you need to accept who you are. This cave holds many secrets, and the Crystal of Harmony is just one of them. It can restore balance, but only if you truly understand what it means to love. Aisling exchanged glances with Angus, feeling the intensity of the connection between them. What do you mean by that? Aisling asked, intrigued. Love isn't just a feeling, it's a commitment, a sacrifice. If you want to break the curse, you have to be willing to give something up for that love, Lyra explained, her eyes glowing with an inner light. But don't worry, it won't be in vain. True love always finds a way. Aisling took a deep breath, Lyra's words echoing in her mind. The thought of sacrificing something so precious scared her, but it also awakened a strength she didn't know she had. I'd do anything for Angus, she declared, her gaze steady. But what exactly do I have to sacrifice? Lyra smiled, her expression full of understanding. First, you need to learn to trust yourself and embrace your nature. You're a human in a magical world, but that doesn't make you inferior. On the contrary, it's your humanity that brings new meaning to the love between you. If you accept that, you can turn your pain into power. So, what do we do now? Angus asked, the determination in his eyes shining brightly. Know that the path ahead won't be easy. I can help you understand the traditions of the realm and how to use the crystal, but you'll have to face the challenges that come your way. True love has already united you, now you must learn to fight for it, Lyra said, extending her hand. Without hesitation, Aisling and Angus took the fairy's hand, feeling a surge of energy run through their bodies. In that moment, they realized they weren't alone in their fight. With Lyra by their side, a new hope bloomed in their hearts, and together, they were ready to face whatever Meloria had in store for them. As Aisling walked through the magical forest, her mind was a whirlwind of uncertainties. The sun filtered through the leaves, casting a mosaic of light on the ground. Beside her, Angus was speaking excitedly about the kingdom's traditions, but his words felt distant. She felt the weight of being a human in a world that wasn't hers, and every laugh they shared now carried a shadow of doubt. Aisling, are you listening to me? Angus asked, stopping to look her in the eyes. Concern was written on his face as he moved closer, as if trying to reach her through her confusion. I'm sorry, Angus. I can't stop thinking about how different I am from everyone here, Aisling said, looking away, feeling a lump in her throat. I don't know if my love for you is enough to face all of this. Angus frowned, his heart tightening as he sensed the insecurity that was consuming her. He had felt the strength of the love that bound them, but now he saw a crack in the foundation of that feeling. You're not just a human, Aisling. You're an artist, a dreamer. That's what draws me to you, he said, trying to give her the reassurance she needed. I don't care about the differences. What matters is what we feel for each other. She shook her head, uncertain. But what if that's not enough? Meloria hates us. What if she uses that against us? Angus stepped closer, holding her hands. We can't let doubt come between us. What we have is stronger than anything she can throw at us. I promise I'll fight for you, Aisling. She looked at him, and for a moment, his words warmed her. But soon, the shadow of doubt returned. And if you have to choose between your duty and your love for me, what would you do? The intense question hung in the air between them, and Angus hesitated. He knew that his role as prince put him in a delicate position. Royal duties were heavy, and what Aisling was saying wasn't a far-off possibility. He began, his voice wavering. I don't know, but I can't imagine my life without you. Tears welled up in Aisling's eyes, and she pulled away, the weight of her own words suffocating her. What if our love isn't enough? What if this all ends in pain for both of us? Angus took a deep breath, determined not to let Aisling's insecurity shake him. He remembered the moments they had shared, the laughter, the knowing glances. Aisling, true love is about facing challenges together, not avoiding what might happen. I can't promise there won't be pain, but I can promise I'll be by your side, no matter what. She looked at him, her eyes reflecting the inner struggle she was facing. And what if I'm not strong enough? You're stronger than you think, Angus replied, encouraging her. Look at everything we've already faced together. You've proven this to yourself many times before. His words seemed to echo in her heart, and Aisling found herself fighting against the wave of emotions. I just don't want to lose you. You'll never lose me, Angus assured, pulling her close. We'll find a way to break this curse, together. Aisling felt the warmth of his body, and for a moment, all her doubts melted away. She smiled, a smile that carried the hope of a future together. Then let's fight. Exactly. Together, we're stronger than any force threatening us, Angus said before kissing her softly. And so, as the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the forest, Aisling and Angus felt more united than ever, ready to face the shadows that threatened their love. The cave had a mysterious air, the walls glowing with crystals reflecting the soft light radiating from the crystal of harmony. Aisling, breathless and pale, watched the intense glow in front of her. The feeling of weakness was consuming her more and more, and she knew time was running out. Beside her, Angus held her hand firmly, his eyes full of concern. We need to find a solution, Aisling, he said, his voice tense. If Meloria's curse isn't broken, you won't survive. She looked away, afraid of what he was about to say. But what can we do? We don't have enough power against her. What if we get the crystal? What if it doesn't work? We have to believe it will work, Angus insisted, but uncertainty hung in the air like a shadow. Then Lyra, the rebellious fairy they had met in the cave, interrupted their thoughts. She had stepped away, watching the crystal with a contemplative expression. Aisling, there's something you need to know about the curse, Lyra said, turning to them. It's not just about love, it's a prison Meloria created to control those she loves. What do you mean? Aisling asked, her curiosity surpassing her anguish. Meloria is afraid of true love, Lyra explained. She was once loved and lost everything. For her, this curse is a way to ensure no one else finds the happiness she couldn't have. And to break it, you'll need to make a personal sacrifice. Aisling felt a chill down her spine. Sacrifice? What do you mean by that? To break the curse, you must give up something you deeply love. It could be your connection to this realm or even your love for Angus, Lyra said, her voice soft but firm. It's a painful choice, I know. Aisling shook her head, terrified by the idea. I can't lose Angus. He's all I have here. And if losing your life is the price to pay? Lyra questioned, her gaze serious. Understand, Aisling, true love isn't just about being together. It's about what you're willing to sacrifice for it. The tension in the air was palpable. Aisling looked at Angus, who watched her with a mix of hope and despair. I can't live without you, he confessed, his voice choked. And I can't let you sacrifice your life for me. But I can't stay here knowing the curse is consuming me every day, Aisling responded firmly. We need to find that magical artifact you mentioned, Lyra. We can face her together. Yes, but with every step you take, you're moving further from your life force, Lyra warned, her gaze sharp. Hurrying is the only option, but you need to be ready for what might come next. The trio prepared for the next phase of their journey. The deep caves called to them, and Aisling felt that every moment was precious. The pain in her body grew more intense, but her determination grew with each passing second. Let's go, then, Angus said, gently taking Aisling's hand again. We'll find that artifact, and together we'll face Meloria. No matter what happens, I'll be by your side. And I will too, Lyra added, joining them. We'll discover the truth and fight for you, Aisling. You're not alone. As they moved forward, Aisling felt a mix of fear and hope. She knew she was about to face a confrontation that could change everything. With each step, the pressure increased, but the strength of her love for Angus pulsed within her, like a light that would never fade. Aisling, Angus, and Lyra gathered in a clearing bathed in soft moonlight, where the air was thick with tension and expectation. The plan to confront Meloria had been carefully thought out, but uncertainty still hung over them like a shadow. Aisling looked at Angus, her heart pounding as the image of the powerful goddess who threatened them danced in her mind. Are you ready, Aisling? Angus asked, concern etched on his face. He held her hand, offering the sense of security she so desperately needed. We need to be cautious. Meloria won't hesitate to use her powers against us. I know, Aisling replied, her voice firm despite the fear that consumed her. But we can't let her keep threatening our love or the future of this realm. We have to face her. Lyra, watching their interaction with a careful eye, intervened. Aisling, remember what we've learned. She may try to manipulate your emotions, use your fears against you. Stay focused on what really matters. Aisling nodded, taking a deep breath before stepping forward. Let's go. We're in this together, and nothing will tear us apart. With that, the trio ventured towards the palace where the goddess awaited them. The atmosphere around them felt heavy, as if even the stars were hesitant to shine. As they entered the grand hall, Meloria's majestic figure stood in the center, surrounded by an aura of light and shadows. Her piercing gaze assessed them, and a sly smile formed on her lips. Ah, the unwanted lovers, Meloria said, her voice echoing through the space. I see you've decided to face me together. A bold, but foolish choice. The love between you is a weakness I will exploit. Aisling lifted her head, defying the goddess. You have no power over us, Meloria. Your control ends here. We won't let you destroy what we have. Meloria let out a low laugh, but there was something dark in her expression. Oh, Aisling, you still don't understand. Love is a double-edged sword. While you think you're strong, I'll always be one step ahead. Let me show you. In a swift motion, Meloria raised her hand, and a wave of magical energy filled the air. Aisling felt a weakness invade her body, as if the forces that sustained her were being drained. Angus rushed forward, placing himself between Aisling and the goddess. Don't touch her, he shouted, his voice full of determination. I won't let you hurt Aisling. The love we have is stronger than your tricks. Oh, naive prince. Meloria replied, her voice turning into a seductive whisper. Do you really think you can protect your beloved from me? What would you do if I revealed your deepest fears? What if I told you that deep down, your love isn't enough? Aisling felt a chill run down her spine hearing those words. What could Meloria know that would make her hesitate? But when she looked at Angus, she saw the determination in his eyes. He believed in them, and that gave her strength. You can try to manipulate us, but you'll never know the depth of our love, Aisling responded, her voice growing more confident. We found each other in a world of shadows and light, and together we're stronger than any magic you can conjure. Meloria paused for a moment, her expression of disdain shifting to one of surprise and anger. You dare to challenge the goddess who rules this realm? You think you can simply ignore what I am? A magical bow began to form in the air, the energies clashing in a spectacle of light and darkness. Aisling felt a power rising within her, something she had never experienced before. It was as if all the strength of her love for Angus was manifesting, ready to face the goddess who threatened them. Let's go, Angus! Aisling shouted. We're in this together. Together, they combined their forces, creating an energy field that reflected the light of their souls. The hall trembled with the intensity of the battle, and Aisling knew that, in that moment, true love was about to reveal itself as the most powerful weapon of all. The flames of the magical battle lit up the field around the palace, as Aisling faced Meloria, the goddess who had become her greatest enemy. The air was thick with tension and magical energy, every spell cast echoing with deep emotions. The goddess, with eyes shining like stars, seemed invincible, but there was something in Aisling's gaze that surprised her. The young artist wasn't just fighting for herself or Angus, she was fighting for the love that had bloomed between them, a love that defied the rules of the realm. Do you think love can defeat the order I have established? Meloria spoke, her voice booming like thunder. I am the goddess of this realm, and you are just a mortal. Your love is a weakness I can exploit. Aisling lifted her head, defiant. My love for Angus isn't a weakness, it's my strength. You don't understand, Meloria. True love doesn't bow to orders or rules. It's free. The goddess smirked, but there was a crack in her confidence. You talk about love, but you don't know the pain it can cause. I once knew forbidden love, and it destroyed me. You will be no different." Those words cut like a blade, and Aisling felt a chill run down her spine. What Meloria had said reminded her of the stories she had heard about the goddess, about how she had loved a mortal and lost everything because of it. What had happened to that love? Curiosity began to mix with her determination to fight. "So, you're just a wounded woman, hiding behind a cloak of power," Aisling said, her voice firm. "If you truly know the pain of love, then you should know it can't be controlled. It's a fire that burns freely, even when you try to put it out." Meloria hesitated, her hardened expression faltering for a moment. "You don't know what you're talking about. Love is an illusion that brings only suffering. I protected this realm from foolish loves. And in doing so, you've trapped yourself in your own pain," Aisling replied, her voice now softer, almost a whisper. "You need to free yourself, Meloria. Love isn't your enemy. It's the key to true strength." The goddess stopped, her gaze drifting somewhere distant. "You don't understand," she said, her voice lower, almost breaking. "I lost everything because of love. I became what I am to keep others from suffering like I did. And you think isolating yourself, controlling everyone, is protecting anyone? You're just spreading the pain," Aisling insisted, a glimmer of hope appearing in her eyes. "Free yourself from that pain. Accept your past and find peace." Silence fell between them as Meloria wrestled with her own emotions. Aisling saw a shadow of vulnerability in the goddess's eyes, a glimpse of what could have been. "Do you really believe I can forgive myself?" Meloria asked, almost as if speaking to herself. "Yes," Aisling said, stepping forward. "Love is a powerful force, and it can heal even the deepest wounds. You don't have to be alone." Aisling's words pierced through the emotional armor of the goddess, making her hesitate. "What if I can't? What if I end up destroying everything again?" "You're not alone. You have the choice to change," Aisling replied, her heart pounding. "Let's face this together. Break the cycles of pain. Love has the power to transform even those who have lost their way." A light began to emanate from Aisling, and the space around them seemed to pulse with new energy. Meloria, touched by the sincerity of the young woman, felt the barrier around her heart break. Maybe you're right. Maybe I can find a different path." The goddess looked at Aisling, and for the first time, she saw not just a mortal, but someone who truly understood the essence of love and pain. The battlefield, once covered in darkness, began to brighten with the possibility of redemption. The atmosphere was thick with tension as Aisling looked into Angus's eyes, a mix of love and despair reflected in his face. Shadows danced around them, and the sound of the whispering wind seemed to carry the voices of all the hopes and fears that filled their hearts. Aisling knew the decisive moment was near, and each beat of her heart echoed like a war drum. "Angus," she began, her voice soft but firm. "I know that the only way to end this curse is to make a sacrifice. A sacrifice that could cost me everything." She hesitated, fighting back the tears that threatened to fall. "But if it means you'll be free from Meloria, I'll do it." The prince stepped forward, his eyes burning with determination. "No, Aisling. I can't let you do that. Your love is what gives me strength. Without you, I don't know if I'll be able to fight." He held her hands, their fingers intertwined as if they wanted to merge into one. "You need to understand, Angus." Aisling took a deep breath, feeling the pain of her decision. "I can't live knowing your life is in danger because of me. I came to this realm and fell in love with you, and that in itself is a miracle. But you deserve to be free to rule and to be happy. True love isn't selfish." Angus's eyes filled with tears he struggled to hold back. "But what about us? What will happen to us? I can't imagine a world without you. You are my son, Aisling. Without you, everything will be darkness." "I will always be with you, even if I can't be here physically," Aisling replied, her voice trembling. "I promise that my love for you will transcend any barrier. If I can do this for you, for us, then it will be the best choice I've ever made." She stepped back a little, looking deeply into his eyes. "Trust me." Angus lowered his head, the pain spreading through his chest like an overwhelming wave. He knew she was right, but the weight of the choice was almost unbearable. What if Meloria doesn't keep her word? What if you're lost forever? Then I will fight. And somehow, I will find a way back. True love never dies, Angus. It always finds a way to survive. With her words, she moved closer, wrapping her arms around his neck and pulling him into a tight embrace. She whispered in his ear, "I love you, and that's what matters." He held her tightly, wishing time would stop, that the world around them could be a little kinder. "I love you too, Aisling. You are the reason I breathe, and I will never forget that." With a heavy heart, Aisling slowly pulled away, looking at the magical artifact they had found. It was the final step. The magic pulsed on its surface, ready to make the transition. "I have to do this now. I can't wait any longer." "Aisling," Angus began, but the determination in her eyes silenced him. He knew there was nothing left to say. Aisling reached out, touching the artifact with her fingertips. A bright light began to shine, enveloping them in a warmth that was both comforting and frightening at the same time. "Remember me, Angus. Remember our love and everything we shared. I will always be with you." "Don't forget me either," Angus murmured, his voice shaking as the light surrounded them. "I will fight for you, always." And with one last look filled with love and pain, Aisling spoke the magical words that would seal her fate. The light exploded in a wave of energy that enveloped them both, and she felt her essence begin to fragment. When the glow finally faded, Aisling realized she was drifting away, but the strength of the love between them still pulsed, unbreakable, in their hearts. The intense light that surrounded Aisling seemed to pulse with the force of 1,000 stars, a glow that wrapped around her like a warm and protective embrace. She felt her essence slipping away, as if the ties binding her to the magical realm and to Angus were slowly unraveling. As the reality around her began to fade, a sense of peace washed over her. "Angus," she whispered, her voice almost lost in the brightness that enveloped her. "Promise you'll never forget me." Angus, his eyes filled with tears, reached out in a desperate gesture. "No. Aisling, don't do this. You can't leave me." His voice was filled with agonizing urgency, and he tried to move closer, but an invisible barrier held him back. "We found the way. This isn't the end." She looked into his eyes, now glowing with the intensity of pain and love. "I'm not leaving, my love. I'm creating a new beginning for all of us. A world where fairies and humans can live together, where love will no longer be a curse." With one last look full of love and determination, she felt the energy of the sacrifice growing inside her. When Aisling spoke the words of the spell, a wave of power echoed through the air, and reality began to reconfigure around her. The ground beneath her feet lit up, and the trees in the distance began to transform, their leaves shining with vibrant colors that had never existed before. "You will always be a part of me, Aisling," Angus cried, his voice now a mixture of despair and hope. "Your light will never fade." And then, as if the universe was answering the call of their love, the light expanded, and Aisling caught glimpses of a new world, a land where humans and magical creatures walked side by side, where fear and division were things of the past. "I promise, Angus. I will always be with you." Her words floated from her lips, and her heart pulsed with the certainty that true love transcends even the barriers of life and death. The light then fully enveloped her, and in an instant, Aisling was no longer there. With one final flash, she vanished, and the reality she had created began to solidify. Angus, now free from Meloria's control, felt a wave of power and responsibility wash over him. He looked around and saw that the once feared goddess now seemed more at peace. "Why did you do this, Aisling?" Meloria murmured, her voice heavy with a melancholy that echoed through every corner of the new world. "You sacrificed everything for a love I couldn't understand." "Because love is stronger than any curse," Angus replied, his determination rising. "And you, Meloria, need to understand that too. You can be free to protect what is most precious." A new expression crossed the goddess's face, and for the first time, Angus saw the fragility behind her strength. Maybe I got lost in my own pain," Meloria admitted, looking up at the sky now filled with twinkling stars. But I can change. I can be a guardian of this new world. Yes, you can, Angus agreed, his heart filled with hope. By uniting our worlds, we can create a future where no one has to suffer for love. And so, the goddess Meloria made a gesture, and a new light shone in her heart. Angus, now a guardian of the new world, felt that Aisling was still with him, like a soft breeze that brushed his face and whispered her dreams. You will be part of all of this, he murmured, looking up at the starry sky. Aisling, always. And although Aisling was gone, her love and courage created a legend that would resonate throughout eternity. She became a vital force, an energy that united both worlds, proving that even in the darkest of circumstances, true love always finds a way to triumph. Good night and enchanted dreams.